You know what? I ran a half marathon 3 weeks ago, 13.1 miles. Yesterday tried to run 3 and threw up at mile number 2. And my legs hurt today. Life is weird, dude. I think I've been drinking too much toxic masculinity, maybe. And it's poisoning my body. It's dehydrating me, and I'm just not able to do it anymore. I don't know. Honestly, I don't really know. It's so weird. So weird how you just like fall out of shape, like mentally and physically. But we're back on it. We're back on the wagon, and we're getting healthy again. And I'm gonna be so physically attractive soon that it's not fair to any of you, men or women. Both because of how jealous of my body you're going to be and how sexually frustrated you're going to be when you see me and nothing happens. So, sorry, not sorry about that. This podcast is just finished recording it about an hour ago. We're putting it out right away. And this is with TD Cunningham, 6-point touchdown Cunningham, they call him. Touchdown. To do Cunningham. Look at these TDs. Cunningham. I don't know. I'm not doing a very good job of this. TD, the letter T, the letter D, Cunningham. Check him out. He's a very funny comedian here in San Diego. You can catch him pretty much anywhere. He's just all over the place. He's a wild man, both on stage and in real life, and metaphorically in the comedy game. He's just getting everywhere, getting after it, and he's a pleasure to be around. He is, like I said, wild man, but very, very nice person, and has really been great for me to talk to. I've enjoyed getting to know him over the last couple weeks or months or however long it's been. And like I said, he's very funny, getting ready to headline his first show at the Comedy Palace on July 26th. So check that out if you're in San Diego and you enjoy comedy and you like wild men, and if you so happen to like to support troops like Marines, because he is a Marine, that's an added bonus. Another reason to go support him and see him. He's at the Madhouse Comedy Club all the time. He does the train, the night train, something where they do comedy until like 2 a.m. He's on that like every week, and I believe that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So if you don't catch him July 26th, you can probably catch him at some point on that show. And just go see the show anyway, because you should be supporting local artists and comics and bands, and just support local things and encourage people that are doing well, and be a good person, be a good local person. As far as me, I just did a San Diego Comedy League thing this past weekend, and I placed. So I've placed in all 3 of the ones that I've done. Didn't get first in this one, but it went fine, and I'm looking forward to being in the playoffs at some point and hopefully winning the whole goddamn thing. For shows, July 20th, I'm going to be in Fresno, California, Full Circle Brewery with Freak Show LA, Freak Show, run by Cyrus and Tuesday, who have been on my podcast, so you can check them out. And actually, Sally Mullins is going to be on that show too. She was on my podcast. Check those ones out, get to know them, love them, and then come out and watch us all on Freak Show. But yeah, enough about me. Let's get to TD and hit this awesome interview, and yeah, let's give you an opportunity to get to know him a little bit, so that you want to go check him out and see him and support him. So without further ado, this is TD Cunningham. doing
Sorry about
great.
that.
No, that was very erotic, dude. It's got me in the mood.
Dude, as soon as I took a sip of the beer, I knew that I did that. I was like, oh, here it comes.
Nah,
it's a fucking penis.
Dude,
Penis
you
beer.
handled it like you've been in that situation before, so it was fine.
As an alcoholic, yes, not in a heterosexual way. I have.
There's no judgments here, dude. This is you've already learned this is a gay household. Well, lesbian household.
Yeah, they're gay though. That's the same thing.
I mean, that's the same thing,
right?
They're just the female version of the gay.
That's gay, right? That's not. It's not its own. No, but LGBT, like, yeah, that's not. Aren't they two different things now, or what?
Oh, I guess so.
I don't know.
They're men and women.
I always thought gay was gay. It's like.
Yeah, but then you can even get into like what about you can't say trannies, but what about
you can, but
yeah, you're not
might
supposed
get yelled
to.
at for it.
Yeah, what's his name? Andrew Schultz has a good joke about that. It's like anytime you take a word and shorten it, it's like a cute thing to do, right?
Yeah.
So like grandmother, granny. Transgender, tranny. It's just like the cute way. It's the cute thing to do.
I like how the gay community put Q at the end of it too. Like they're fucking recruiting or something. Like they need more members. They're like, hey, if you've ever had a question, coming on the parade, man, you're one of us now.
I like the plus sign too.
Yeah.
Like,
what is the plus?
I like it's supposed to be like inclusive of everything.
Yeah.
Because there's too many letters to. I don't know. But good for them, though, you know? Like, I was just wondering, like, if lesbian and gay are two different things, what happens when, like, you're a man and you become a woman, but then you like women?
Yeah, like, that's what, what's her face? Caitlyn Jenner.
Right, yeah. Cause
she's transgender now. She's a woman, and she
still likes women?
Well, she has a girlfriend, or, like, her significant other is a... fully transitioned woman as well, who was a man who became a woman as well. Okay. So, it's crazy times, man. I mean, do what you're gonna do.
Yeah, be happy.
Smoke them if you got them, but
be happy.
I'm probably horribly. All of my statements about this were probably completely.
You're doing just fine.
Just absolute trash. You could be in the same hole with me down there, just getting berated by all the people. Like we're just a bunch of old dinosaurs. We sound like my grandfather right now, ranting about Italians or something.
I actually, I've always kind of thought what Bruce did becoming Caitlyn was kind of awesome because like. So he went to sleep Bruce and then woke up Caitlyn, right? But then as Caitlyn, she had all of Bruce's like gold medals, money, cars, house. Dude, he just like gold dug himself, right? Like,
God damn, that's
genius.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think it's totally genius.
That's a good bit.
Because he'd been divorced 3 different times, right? So he like lost half his stuff. Lost half of that, so he just looked at the rest of it. He's
exponentially been.
Yeah, he's like, oh, the rest of this is mine. I'm taking it. Yeah, that actually was a bit that I used to use. I'll go ahead and admit that. But
it seemed like it was either a bit in progress, and if it was, I was going to be like, good bit, but I feel like last year it would have been relevant. Now
yeah,
a little
it's kind
behind.
of an old one now.
I feel like if you come out talking Caitlyn Jenner bits, people are going to be like, oh, this.
I know.
This guy hasn't developed anything new for his 10-minute set in a while, huh?
Yeah. I keep hoping that she does something new to get in the news, you know? Like, oh, there we go. There's my opportunity. But no. Apparently she has a girlfriend.
Yeah, that's what I was talking. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. So we have TD Cunningham, who is here for the second time.
What's up?
Because yours truly doesn't know how to use recording equipment.
Yeah, so this will be the first time that they hear me, but the second appearance. Yeah, you know, it's all right. My time is pretty worthless. You just waste it anytime you want. You know,
yeah. Well,
just throw this one out too while you're not.
I might no. The problem with not being able to use that first time is there's no way you'll be as good as that first time.
I'll actually be better. In fact, I went over because I mentally recorded everything we did.
Oh, okay.
Like just complete. I mean, I had the inflections almost like an actual recording, actually a little clearer than a recording because it's in my perfect mind. And then I decided, I found the gaps, and I realized what I need to fix.
You're gonna remember Stanley Kubrick's name this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah. That's actually, a really good thing for recording a podcast is if you use inside jokes that like your audience members know nothing about.
Yeah.
It really hits hard.
It really, that's in. Yeah. It's like one of those things where you got to explain the punchline to the crowd. That means you're killing it. When you're just like, it's funny because here's why.
I thought you were gonna say follow the "here's why" up with something, and
no.
I took that opportunity to.
No, my bad. That was uncomfortable. Yeah, I should have. As soon as you took a sip, I was like, oh, this is my cue to sip too, and then I just created an uncomfortable fucking 3 seconds. My bad.
So you've been a member of the comedy community in San Diego for a while now, but then you were, I almost said deported, but deployed. Those are two different things. And you've been back for, I think you said it was a year or something, right?
April. So April. I haven't been doing this.
April, yeah.
So I haven't been doing this for a while. I've probably been doing it like a year and some change out here. So the first time I started was like 2012, and yeah, the night I got married, it was like just like a court wedding. I left because we were going to do a normal wedding after, so I just left that night and went to go do the open mic at the Comedy Store. So, I mean, I was doing stand-up and open mics since 2012, but I wasn't really I was doing like one a week, and I did it for a few weeks, and then I had to go to Japan. Then came back here, and that's when I started back up, probably around like 2017, and then I got deployed. But there was so much going on with my family and stuff during that time, so I didn't get out much. Then when I got right before I was getting deployed, so I left in October of 2018, and right before that time, probably a good 4 months, is when I started booking shows, and I was actually getting like 3 shows a week. I was really I had found my voice. I knew exactly. Then I went on a 6-month deployment. I got a lot of time to write, but I didn't get to perform. I performed in Australia about 4 times when I was there.
Cool. Just at mics, or?
Yeah, there was one mic I did, and from that mic I got 3 other shows.
Oh.
Because again, I had 6 months, and I was basically, they say you can't rehearse without, the only way to do comedy is do comedy. Like, that's complete bullshit, man. You can rehearse in your house, and you get just as much from it as you get from an open mic at 1 o'clock in the morning when there's no one but 2 comedians there. Like, you get the same thing if you do it in front of a mirror, if you do it correctly, and you've been out doing comedy before. So if you've never done comedy, you have to do it, but you can. And
you can kind of tell what's going to hit.
Yeah, and I was doing that. So when I got to Australia, like, my sets, they were, by the shows, they were introducing me as like from San Diego, from LA and stuff. And I was like, because my stuff was a little tighter than like an open mic, than a normal open mic stuff, because I had been practicing a lot. And then when I got back here, in April, I hit the ground running. I had a real solid, and I'm still doing it. I have a plan where I just want to do as much. I'm doing this as seriously as possible.
Yeah, you were saying you were doing like 100 and
usually like
90
minutes, to 120 minutes a week. But that's
a lot.
Yeah, because when you talk to someone who's done, like, it gets depressing when you talk to other comedians, because it's like, 5 years, 6 years, and that's when I really started to get like my feet under me. But then when you actually talk to them, they did for 4 years, 1 mic a week, and then eventually there was this moment in their life, most of the comedians I've talked to, where they were just like, this is it, I'm going for it. And then they started doing comedy. So like when you talk to them, it's like, oh, you've actually been doing it for 2 years. Right. And then when you see where they're at, and it's not 6, and they say 6 years, but it's like, no, 2 years, because that's when you actually started doing it every day, getting out, doing shows, doing it like 60 minutes to 100 minutes a week on stage. You've been doing that for a year and a half, 2 years. That's when it makes me feel a little bit better, because that's I started that process. Like, the first few years, I wouldn't even count them. Like, I'm in basically the beginning now of where I'm actually taking it fully serious.
Yeah, and you've gotten a lot better, even just in the time that I've seen you, which probably, I guess, was like probably April then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember, I remember hearing your name and just kind of like whatever, and then I think it was like not that long after you went up on stage, and then you like your energy just kind of like commanded attention, you know, like it was like, oh shit, like.
Yeah, I did. That was purposeful too. So I've changed. I was doing. So that was kind of how I was before, and then I wanted to be a little more focused. The idea was the energy that I naturally have. If I can focus it, it's like a laser. Like all this energy just explodes into the universe, but if you could focus it, then you could get it into this one beam. That beam is extremely powerful.
Yeah.
But in doing that, I was trying to do just the basic setup, punchline, setup, tag, punchline, boom, one joke trying to get a laugh every 15 seconds, and it just wasn't I was trying to focus it and it wasn't working. So that was the very beginning when I first got back. I did that for about 3 weeks, and I actually have one set, did Throne of Jokes. And it's the only contest I've done. I've done like 9 contests. That's the only one I've actually lost. And it was that was kind of like, and I posted my set. It's on YouTube. And that was kind of like where, you know, I was like, I keep it up because as a reminder to myself and also for people when they book me, like I'll get back to that but from that moment, that's when I kind of developed into what I'm doing now. I basically have made a conscious decision. I'm going to start I'm going to do something that's a little more, it's a little harder to do. It's usually you don't want to do it. I was talking to Zoltan last night, and he was telling me like, yeah, what you're trying to do, usually people don't want to do for about 5-6 years in. Like start where you dig a hole and then you basically get the crowd against you and then get your way out of it. And I mean, I agree with him, but I'm just going to go for it now. Like I'm just going to go start doing it now. But that and the energy that I like, the high energy thing, that was a real big, like that was a purposeful idea I've been trying to do.
Yeah. I like Bill Burr is one of my favorite comedians, and I think he does that better than anybody. And I think that's a big part of why people love him so much is like he can get you out, like start you out on the opposite side of him. Yeah. And then by winning you over, it's like not only funny, but like it's sort of impressive to be like, oh, I'm laughing at something that I feel like I probably shouldn't. When he's like, I want to own a gun, and then he talks about like not like everyone else wants to buy a gun, and then he says he wants to get a little pea shooter because you won't be able. You're not going to put your earplugs in when someone comes in with an axe, or the no reason to hit a woman. That's like the ultimate where he's just like I can think of like 12 out of a drunken stupor or something.
The only thing with that I'm noticing is the good thing is you don't really need to read the room because you're going to do whatever you're going to do anyway. Right. A lot of people I'm seeing, their stuff depends on, oh, all right, well, I'll just talk to the crowd. And I don't give a rat's ass about the crowd. Like I just want them to enjoy themselves, but I don't care who the fuck's in the room. I don't care what's going on. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to work my set, and I'm being selfish about it. Like I drove out there. I'm going to work my set for this show, to do whatever show I'm doing, but also for the next show or whatever goal I have. I'm doing a 20-minute set in 3 weeks, so this is in service of getting that 20 minutes up. Like, yeah, it's great you guys came out tonight, but honestly, I'm not going to do crowd work because I need to get this thing bigger. But so the good thing about that is you don't have to read the room as much when you're starting out from a hole. But the bad thing is that when people don't give you a chance, there's no way out of it. When someone just like they hear you going into your like, yeah, there's no good reason to hit a woman. Yeah, I could give you 12. That right there could get you. That could get someone to turn off immediately. And if they're not in the room, they could just be like, nope, not listening to it, change channel. Especially, or just start upsetting the whole fucking set right there. Well, and you're not going forward.
When you got 5 minutes to turn it around, too. I mean, it's not really that much time. Yeah. You know, like, I guess it depends on how much time you have. But if you're going to, dedicate a solid 15, 20 minutes, then you probably do have a chance to turn it around. But
The best way, again, we talked about this last time, but your listeners wouldn't know because you suck at editing and recording. But no, someone told me, it was Armando told me this, and he was telling me basically what he does is every once in a while he'll write, if he's doing a story, like a long form story, he'll write the joke out, like the whole joke word for word, and then every 2 lines he'll insert a tag to make a laugh. And Louis Santani was saying the same thing, kind of. He does it differently with his phone and in shorthand, but he categorizes everything either setup, tag, S, T, or P. Setup, tag, punchline. And then if he notices he's got too many S's, then he'll put the T in or a P. So he'll force, like Armando was telling me, he'll force. And he's got a joke about, being at the airport is where you get introduced to your true self. And then that setup for that joke was like, in the beginning when he first started, it was like a minute long. So he just started inserting these tags of like, you'll even see a priest like, God damn it. And you'll see these things. So he was forcefully writing in these tags, and Louis was telling me, and that I think that's a great way to do things.
Yeah, I think it's good to. That's one of the things that I started doing recently is writing jokes out word for word.
Yeah,
not that I do most of my jokes like pretty close every time. It's not exactly the same, but writing it out though word for word is like, it does give you a good like when you're able to read it like that and actually see it on paper. I think that it is pretty beneficial because you can see the space of like how long it is before.
It's not beneficial when you're doing it to like, all right, I'm gonna write it word for word because that's how I'm fucking. Some people need, but like most people, when you talk to, that's not how they're gonna prepare to get on stage. Mm-hmm. But it is beneficial to see the physical layout of your joke because then you can literally see where you could wedge in. It's almost like you have built a model, like a 3D model of what you're actually saying, and you can see where they could use a little, color, like, oh, they need blue here or red here, when you're actually looking at it as opposed to when you're doing it.
Yeah.
But and it was the difference, we were talking about this before with Kubrick and Christopher Nolan. Like how Kubrick doesn't explain to his audience, over explain. He just puts it out there and people get it or they don't. Eventually they're going to get the overall idea of what The Shining's about. They might not understand all of the nuances he's putting in, but they're going to understand the big picture, and that's what matters. So he doesn't waste as much on the setup. He invests it more in the tag and the punchline and the payouts. And if you look at like Nolan when he directs like Inception or anything like that, like a lot of his stuff he over explains to the audience, and there's kind of a theme. I mean, also he's one of my favorite directors. I love his movies, but every movie he makes has about 40 minutes that it could get taken out of, and it's almost all setup. And it's like if he had sat down, because you're not going to tell him, he's not going to. But if he had said, if that was part of his process, where I'm sure I think a lot of it comes with trusting the audience too.
Yeah.
Like as a artist, that's what a stand-up comedian is. Like if you are committed, if you're creating art, if you're creating this set, basically how someone sees that, maybe not the reaction, but how they understand it, that's kind of the end state. Is how they understand what you're saying. So it's kind of tricky because you do want to have enough setup to make sure you're not misunderstood.
Right, like you were the other night. You were talking about
it sucks when you're misunderstood. It doesn't suck when someone thinks you're a horrible comedian.
Right.
But when they misunderstand the joke, like I was at Winston's, I came through, I had a great set. I listened to it after, and this lady comes up to me after, and 3 people before tell me, great set. Oh, that was awesome. That was great. And it was a bar show, so you don't get that. And mostly you usually don't get laughs.
Yeah, if you get them looking at you. Right?
Yeah, it's usually so with a bar show, I just want attention. Like if I have the crowd looking at me, that means I know I'm doing well. If I'm at a club or I'm at like a house mic, something like that, an alternate show, it's a comedy show, then I know like there's. But when it's like a bar mic or something, then I know. I mean, as long as they're paying attention, that means I'm doing something right. Then you'll get some laughs after that.
Yeah.
But when I left, so 3 people come up, tell me I had a great set. It felt good. I had to be a little louder and yell a lot more because I couldn't, just to get people to pay attention. But and then this woman comes out and she says, "Hey," and she's like smiling about it, and she's like, "Yeah, I worked in a comedy club in Oregon." Just a whole setup about how, like, she's going to say that was a good set, and she says that was the worst thing I've ever seen anyone ever do. You're a horrible comedian, and then like. I just left because I didn't want to get in trouble or like call her a cunt or slap her or something, like do something insane. Yeah. So I just walked. I was like, "Thank you," and I just left. And she's like, "Yeah, run away." And then I turned around and sent some stuff to her. It wasn't mean, but it wasn't nice. But
she sucks,
dude. And I was just thinking, like, man, that wouldn't if she. And then she told me why she didn't like it, and it was my "I is for immigrant" joke. And she said, you're up there screaming about stabbing immigrant children. And I was like, lady, the joke is that there's a book that someone wrote and put "I is for immigrant" in it. And now my kid, who's 3 years old, doesn't understand what an immigrant is. But because the pictures that this person put in a children's book, my kid thinks that all, like, a brown person is an immigrant, and he points to a person in the street and says, "Dad, look, an immigrant." And the dude is trying to get in a fight with me over it. The only children are my child, and it's his misunderstanding because of someone probably much like a waitress in Portland wrote a children's book and decided to use the most politically divisive idea they could. That's true, dude. This is a real fucking book that I have, and it is "I is for immigrants."
It's a good premise, and it's a good joke. Yeah,
because it happened. Like, not exactly how the joke goes, but this "B is for Brooklyn" book, that shit happened. Like, my son is now. Like, we had to move but he loves the book, so we had to move it because he legitimately, all of the pictures in that, when it gets to the letter I is for immigrants, and every picture is like black or brown or Indian. And my kid is 3 years old, and again, like, if someone was to be like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you a pen and paper, draw a picture of a person who looks like they teach their 3-year-old son that all brown people are immigrants." Like, ta-da, like, right. Here I am, that's what I look like. So this isn't a fucking good look for me when my kid's doing this shit. So we had to take this book away. And the idea was, because we started to see, like, oh my God, this is very inappropriate. But then I was taking it to where the logical conclusion could be, the comedic logical conclusion could be. But she completely misunderstood it.
She probably heard the word immigrant and then was immediately offended.
Well, that's what upsets me, is not that she didn't like the joke, that it wasn't funny to her. It's that she misunderstood. So I can see why people get so involved in the setup of their joke. Yeah. I see why I get so involved in it. And it's hard sometimes, but you got to cut. That's where the fat's going to be. That can come out as the setup. It's always the setup.
I said it on the first time we talked to, but I kind of learned to do that just from sometimes like a time crunch. Mm-hmm. So, like, you've got like 30 seconds left or 45 seconds left, but you have a bit that's like a minute and a half. So you just start trying to cut a bunch of stuff out. And I did that a couple of times, and then the jokes got like harder, bigger laughs than they normally did. And it was like, because I wasn't trying to over explain the joke.
Yeah, get it again. It's got to be, think like Kubrick. Like, he's not wasting money. He doesn't give a fuck if they understand it. Like, he's doing his art. He doesn't care if he's misunderstood because he knows what he's trying to say. Fuck them if they don't get it. Mm-hmm. He's going to give them just enough that they need so that then he can get to the good stuff, the entertaining stuff. And Christopher Nolan, does a little the exact opposite. He's like, hey, I just want to make sure that everybody knows this is exactly what we're talking about here.
Yeah. But not everybody is a stupid waitress from Portland. So.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised. Dude, a lot of people misunderstand shit, dude. But I see why comedians do it.
Yeah.
But that is almost every time. And try to tell someone that too. I've actually sat down and been like, dude, that is a great joke. It's just a minute and 15 seconds longer than it needs to be. And they're like, no, all 59 sentences of that joke are required. And I'm like, I'm telling you, man, that the setup is, you really don't need most of that.
And I think another aspect of it too for like new comedians anyway is they're worried about having enough material for their time, you know, like they don't want to leave the stage early.
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing too, is they just start kind of throwing things in there to make the joke longer on purpose.
The only time I'll use a lot of setup is when I'm baiting you into thinking something. Like I have one joke about my neighbor beat cancer, and you know, we were really excited. It's a good thing. I'm very glad. You know, we really, the whole neighborhood, we thought he was going to die, and then he turned it around, which is great because he's a convicted sex offender, and the whole thing devastated him financially, so now he's got to move out of the neighborhood. Like, it's a joke where I'm over putting the setup because I want you to go, yeah, and then I misdirect you into, so I want you to follow. So the part of the joke is being like, duh, duh. Yeah, we get it. I know he beat cancer, and then all of a sudden it's like, you just clap for a rapist, and then and that's the really only time I do it. If I'm doing a new joke. I notice, like, if I'm doing a new joke, I'll listen to it. I'll be like, damn, I got a lot of laughs. And I'll listen. I'll be like, fuck, that's half of that is unnecessary.
Yeah, sometimes I think that happens just with a new joke though, like just because you're trying to think of like a lot of different ways that your premise can be funny. So like I'll find myself doing that like when I'm thinking of a new joke, like driving in my car or something.
Yeah.
And I'm just like trying to hit it at a lot of different angles, which I think.
Yeah, and I'm looking up someone's. So I don't want to get his last name. Zoltan Kazazis.
Oh yeah, he was on he was our last guest on my other podcast.
Oh, he was.
Yeah,
dude, he is. And I was
great.
talking to him. He is fucking amazing, dude.
He is so funny, yeah.
And it's not even that. Did you talk to him about his process, writing, what he does?
A little bit.
He doesn't write, dude.
In that podcast, we focus more on like fat shaming our fat friend and stuff like that. So.
He doesn't. If you talk to him, he was the one who was talking to me last night about I might be punching above my weight going at this style that I'm trying for right now. But I was like, hey, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, because he just goes on stage with a premise and then talks
and
about it.
And he talks, which is that's how you get into just talking 5 minutes about some shit. So to be able to do that. And then and not have 5 minutes of wasted fucking talking. That's what's hard to do. That's eventually, I even think that's where I can be. That's kind of how my mind works. As I was talking to him, feels like that's how my mind works. Exactly how he was dealing with and how he was like, and creating jokes. But like if I was to try that, it would take me at least 2 years from today. I'd have to do comedy all the time, like I'm doing right now.
Yeah. And
still 2 years before I would be able to have thoughts that he basically thinks in structure. Yeah. That's basically what you're saying. It's like he thinks in comedic structure because he can just open it. He can hear a thought in his head and be like, okay, enough setup. This needs a tag. Just blows me away. He is by far one of the most, not even just one, because there are people as funny as him, but not as funny consistently and as talented as he. He's one of the most talented comedians I think out right now. Definitely in San Diego.
Oh, 100%
definitely.
San Diego. I don't know if there's anyone.
I don't think that there is anyone. No one.
I
think he's the best out there.
Just the nicest freaking person.
Yeah,
of
great
all time.
dude, man.
Yeah. Like I said, we have a segment on the other podcast called Fat Shame Sean, because our the guy that sort of edits and produces the podcast he got as fat as he's ever been. So he wanted us to start fat shaming him to make him lose weight. Yeah. So we tried to do this segment with Zoltan, and instead of fat shaming him, he was just kind of like, oh, what are you doing to lose weight? And just starts giving him like tips on how to lose weight.
Advice.
It's like, dude, I don't think you're getting the segment.
I don't think you're getting
He's just too nice of a person, you know? Do you need to get going soon?
No, I was just looking at stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Since I screwed up the first podcast, we're kind of time crunching TD a little.
Yeah,
bit
I got Prankus. Have you ever done that show?
No, I saw your flyer for it though.
Yeah, I got Prankus
That looks
tonight.
really fun. So it's like a crowd work show.
Yeah, well, it's a fucking heckler encouraged show.
Oh, okay.
And
that sounds kind of fun. I mean, I don't know how. I've only ever handled hecklers like really well a handful of times.
Yeah.
Like there was one time I did an abortion joke and this older lady like told me yelled out, "That's enough," and then I think my response was like, "Hey, this is my set, so it's my choice to do with it what I want with it," and it that killed.
God damn, that's good.
But the one.
Did you have that in the gun loaded? Were you like, if someone says I'm going to do that, or did that come out of nowhere?
It was like I think I had it ready, but not 100% like that though. It was just the timing was right, and I think I had sort of an idea of something like that.
Yeah.
And it just worked out.
Yeah,
so,
that's fucking really good.
Yeah, and then an example of a time I didn't handle it very well is I did a show in July in Fresno. It was like 100 degrees in this brewery that didn't have air conditioning, so it was really hot. So this guy just he's screaming out at the comedian in front of me, and then I go on, and all I do is get a setup out, and then he starts screaming out before I can even get my punchline out. So I just like...
What was he screaming?
Just about how it was too hot in there and stuff like that. So my response to him was... shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
like,
so wait, it wasn't even like related to the joke. You were just like, take my wife, please. And he was like, it's so fucking hot in here.
Yeah. But I still feel like I could have handled it like better than that, you know?
Yeah.
Like just screaming a shut the fuck up at a audience member, I think is poor.
No, that's how I'm fucking, that's exactly basically how,
I think I kind of feel like you should give them a little bit of a chance and try and explain to them like, hey, what you're doing is shitty. No, fuck all that.
Fuck all that.
Just get them
right for the fuck. So for Prankus, this one because it's encouraged. My go-to
more playful, right?
Well, no, my go-to. I just do my set, and if they interrupt me, I'm just like, listen, I get it. It's a heckling encouraged show, but there's a lot of things in this world you don't do that you're encouraged to do. Like read, you're encouraged to read. Fucking, I can tell by the way you look that you eat like a diabetic with a fucking death wish.
Yeah.
Suicidal diabetic, but you're now all of a sudden someone encourages you to talkie to the comedians, and now you're Mr. Listen to the rules.
I think a good go-to is even if they're not wearing anything like crazy, just make fun of like what they're wearing. So like, dude, a guy wearing a shirt like that shouldn't be trying to draw attention to himself.
Yeah.
Like, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know? I think those are like real easy go-to things to like.
I just hate
embarrass them a little bit.
I hate dealing with hecklers. But I mean, a lot of times the thing is, most of the time, just about 20% of the time, hecklers are actually like, I'm upset with this comedian, and I will let them. I need to stop this.
Yeah.
80% of the
that
time,
sucks,
they just think they're helping.
Yeah.
They're like, whoa, hey, yeah. Like, so they don't even think you're bad. They actually think most of the time they think you're good.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's great. I'm going to fucking get involved. This is so good. Let's all do that. Hey, I'm going to throw in with your show. So that's when I'm just like, listen, man, you're not. Please let me do my.
Yeah.
But then they get, because that never works, because then they get fucking embarrassed, and now they got to throw something back. Now they're like.
Yeah, those are the people that I'm sort of talking about that are like, I feel like you need to give them a chance because they don't like a lot of people. If you're not involved in comedy, I think a lot of people just don't understand.
Yeah,
you know, like they
think it's just talking.
Yeah,
they think it's just fucking talking.
Yeah.
Which is why I hate crowd work, because when people do that, it encourages the myth of, hey, this is just talking.
Yeah,
it's fucking not.
You hear that a lot with like big comedians that take openers. One of the ways to piss off your headliner is to do too much crowd work, because like once you, like you said, once you get the crowd involved too much, then they think they're a part of the show.
If any comedian ever is a headliner and needs an opener, know that I do no fucking crowd work. None. I fucking hate it. I just shut up, sit down, listen to the fucking jokes. God damn it. I fucking hate that shit.
Sometimes you're very much a Marine, dude.
God damn, I hate that shit. And when I see it happening, too, on a showcase where there's like 8 of us, and the third dude up is like, hey, where are you guys from? Oh, Philadelphia? You got fucking spinach in there. You're like, God damn it, dude.
Well, it really sucks when they're obviously just trying to fill time. Like, they just don't have enough jokes, so they're trying to fill time. But like, like crowd work, like that's warranted, you know, like somebody yells something out and then you interact a little bit. I kind of get it, but like the ones that are obviously they're not prepared.
Yeah, they do 3 minutes, or they're not. They didn't think about. They're like, yeah, let's do it, and they're just doing too much comedy for what. There's someone I'm thinking specifically of in San Diego who does that. Basically, they're doing too much comedy per week than they should be, and they're just.
Like 121 minutes.
Yeah, they're exactly. They've got a 60-minute cap. They're doing 80 minutes. And fucking some of their time is just sitting back, literally sitting down, and what do we talk about now?
Yeah,
it's like fucking.
I don't know what's worse, like getting off like way too early, or like you know what I mean. I don't know.
No,
like,
get off early.
Yeah,
get the fuck off early.
That's how I feel for.
Especially on a mic.
Yeah, I guess
especially
you're right.
On a showcase,
at a
maybe
mic,
not.
At a mic, 100%.
See, with a showcase, if the dude's in the room, I always like to go in 1 to 2 people before me. So, like, first, I'll go 2 people before me because I like to see what the crowd's like. Then I'm always there no matter what for the person before me, because if anything happens...
Then you're ready to
I'm ready. That motherfucker, if a light falls on that dude and he dies, they can't, while they're dragging his corpse off.
You could go up there and do
I can go up and be like, hey, folks, look it over here, blah, 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 blah. While they're
that guy was lights out, wasn't he?
Yeah, this dead body. That's like, so in case anything, I feel like that's a professional place to be. It's like, so, but some people don't. Some people are just like, oh, okay, I got 10 minutes before I'm on. I'm going to go smoke weed on the street. Right. And it's like, dude, what if the dude you're following does something fucking crazy? What if he says something? What if some lady starts crying because he has a rape joke and she was like raped last week or something?
And then you open with a rape joke.
And the fucking and the dude running the show pulls him off the fucking stage physically. Is like, I mean, who the fuck knows what's going to happen, dude? Yeah. So I like to be there just in case. But yeah, so in a showcase, I'm going to do my 10 minutes unless, like, I kind of have, I'm getting eyes with the dudes. I've never done it before. Mm-hmm. I've had someone do it for me where they were having a really bad time, so they just got up. They were, like, looking at me, and I was like, basically, I'll eat the time for you. I'll do more. Okay. And it worked out. But with a mic, I 100% agree. Get the fuck off the stage.
Yeah, with an open mic, 100%, because you're just it's hard enough to get time for an open mic.
It's your 3 minutes, yes, but if you're not going to fucking use them right, just get off. Just get the fuck off.
Yeah,
do your jokes.
You're wasting
and give it back.
Time.
Yeah. I completely 100% am behind that.
Yeah, that's really frustrating, actually, especially like if you do one of these lottery ones and don't get pulled up. Yeah, and there were several people that like did that, and you're like, "Fuck, dude, I could have probably."
What at ACC? It's at
yeah. I mean, that's the only lottery mic that's like that, right?
And there are people who get up there and like, what do I talk about now? And they pull their phone out and
it's
like
3 minutes.
Yeah.
If you don't have 3 minutes worth of jokes, then why, like, to try out, why are you even at an open mic?
I mean, I can see why you're at an open mic, but there were times when I had some of my best sets in the beginning were 2 minutes and 15 seconds at that specific mic, where it's like people in the front row have like tears in their eyes, and I like great record, but I practiced it. It was 3 minutes, but I was just so pumped that my 3 minutes went to 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and I'm like, fuck. So I just stopped. I'm like, well, that's good enough for me. I'm out. Yeah. Like, the idea I had worked. I'm out. I'm not like, because they'll tell you, the people will be like, no, 45 seconds, 45, don't leave anything on the table. Like, fuck that. That's greedy. Get the fuck off. And then again, you're just too much of it. You'll just burn. Everyone will leave thinking of your shitty 45 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was one of the situations where, have you done the Comedy League? San Diego Comedy League?
Not yet. I want to.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty fun, but I just did it on a Saturday, and it was at a bar, and it was a situation where there was way more comics.
I just saw you too. I saw a picture of you doing the league too.
Yeah, so there was like maybe, including the bartender, like maybe 4 or 5 people watching or something. So it was a pretty light crowd.
Yeah.
And this poor person, whose name I talked about it on the podcast with Ty too, but it was just just dying up there, and then got off stage about a minute and a half early.
Yeah.
So and not that it's like a bad thing, because I think it happens to everybody. But it brought me back to like times that it's happened to me. Like I told you, the worst bomb I ever had was a black room. The lost recording. And that's how that felt, man. It was just crickets. I think I was supposed to do, I think it was like 10 minutes or 8 minutes or something. And I think I burned through, I had like 10 to 15 minutes of material, and I burned through it in like 5.
Yeah.
Just joke after joke, because there was no laughs. I was nervous. Like,
dude, I know who you're talking about with that set, and she's had she's been having like a rough, but everyone has a rough few weeks, and they're needed. They're fucking needed, and people say you just got to power through, and that's the exact opposite of what you have to. You have to keep going up. But something's not right. You have to fix whatever's not right.
Yeah, you got to figure it out.
You got to figure it out. But some people will say the opposite.
Persistence is key, though. Like, it's
again, there is no fucking failure, dude. There's only all there is like there's quitting and there's dying. Like, if you don't make it, if you don't become funny, if you don't make whatever your goal is, it's like it's only your losses lock in when you step away from the table, when you sell the stock, and this isn't even, again, with life, like, you can look at your life and be like, I've been doing this for 20 years. It's not going to turn around. It's going to be bullshit. Like, yeah, maybe not. But it's definitely going to be, if that's where you cash out. If you cash out at a point where it's low, that's where you're going to cash. I mean, look at Modest Mouse. Mm-hmm. That band had, 7 albums before a commercially successful album, and that commercially, the album that you know them from was like 15 years into their career, and that was the album where they weren't even gonna make, because they were like, fuck this, we're never gonna make it. Dude, we're almost 40, no one's listening to our shit, who's gonna listen to us now? If they weren't listening to us before, why would they listen to us now? And then it just so happened to be that everything they were saying, everything they were doing, just wasn't for they weren't the world wasn't ready for that. And It was sad that they had to struggle, but then when they did that album, it fucking worked, and they became huge. One of the biggest bands in the fucking world. And that was because they decided, at least give it one more chance.
There's a lot of comedians like that too, like Ron White, right? Like, I mean, he did comedy for I don't know what it was, like 20 years before he got the blue collar deal, and then that's what made him explode.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, dude.
And that is, I mean, quite honestly, that's it is. And people say, oh, that's a stupid. Yeah, you can hold on to a stock long enough, and then it'll fucking go to zero, and you lose everything.
Sure.
But this isn't. I just use stocks as like a reference. This isn't. It's not a literal stock. Like, you're living your life. You're doing something. It's not binary. It's not make it, or if you have goals. Your goal is what it is. If you will make it, or you will quit, or you'll die on your way trying to make it. That's it. Those are only 3 things that can fucking happen. Yeah. You either don't make it because you quit, or you fucking die, or you fucking make it. Yeah. And
unfortunately, like with comedy, it's one of the well, I don't know. I'm sure it's like it for a lot of different things too, but it's such a fucking grind. Like, it's like a grind to, like, especially if you're trying to hold down like a full-time job and then do mics late at night, and then you've got a family. Like, Man,
but that's the grind. That's what makes it, and I actually appreciate that grind because that is what makes all the people who quit, the millions, the hundreds of thousands of people who haven't made it, who've quit. They're just
true.
It's thank you. Fucking keep that you aren't gonna make it, and it's not because of anything other than the fact that you quit. And I get it. Like my wife had cancer, so if something like that happened in my life. Again, like if her cancer comes back, I'm not going to be a famous comedian. That's fine. I'll fucking go back. Maybe it won't work. I'll have to quit, and I'll come back and try it again later on. But that's the other beautiful thing about the good thing about comedy is like, yeah, it's a grind, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter your age. It's not like modeling. It's not like music. You can be a 75-year-old man if you're funny as a motherfucker. Yeah. You can be 75 and be a comedian. So you can.
You could be like the 85-year-old Carlin or whatever.
You can take your time, man. Yeah. You can take your time. You can go at it. You can have a little bit of persistence. And instead of just trying to get at it immediately, just take your time. And it might take you 30 years, but eventually, some of the shit you're saying, everything. I mean, what I think speeds the process up is a rigorous self-honesty. If you're able to really look at yourself and through an honest lens, remove the ego and honestly look at what's been going on, what your sets, what are they, what's evolving, what's devolving, what's happening. The self-reflection will be key, and then other than that, I mean, you also have to. There's other parts of it you have to maintain as well. Like, you have to maintain a balance in your normal life, or else you're not going to get fucking material. Yeah, you know. True. So I
remember you said that too, like the last time.
I had a comedian, a friend who's a comedian who basically doesn't understand the world outside of references to comedic performance. So I had to talk to him about, like, get balance in your life, not because like you love your wife and your children and all that. It's because like if you don't spend time with your wife and your children, you're not going to have anything to fucking talk about on stage. He's like, yeah, I got to start hanging out with my family more so I can get some good fucking material for stage. Like, which is a horrible thing, but hey, man, at least he's hanging out with his family more.
whatever it takes to turn him into
get
a
him
good
into
dad.
a good fucking human. But it's just, I mean, honestly, there is a balance to everything, and it's just, the biggest thing, and you'll see talent too. Like, talent plays a huge part. Yeah. But I was talking on the way here about this. Like, there are people who you talk to them and it's kind of depressing. It's like, yeah, I've been doing comedy for 7 years or 6 years, and you're like, God damn, man, if I'm where you're at 7 years into this, I'm gonna fucking not do this anymore. You're depressing me. Then you talk to him, it's like, oh well, for 5 years I was doing 3 mics a month.
Oh yeah.
And then, you know, I looked around after 5 years of that, and I was like, man, I am really good compared to these people who've been doing 16 shows and mics and everything a week. I'm telling you, if I really got serious about this, so last year, 2 years ago, 24 months ago, I started doing it, and now I'm doing, you know, an hour of stage time at least a week. It's like, oh yeah, motherfucker, so you've been doing comedy for 2 years. You haven't been doing you're exactly where a talented person with drive should be 2 years into comedy. Yes, all right, I can understand that. Because at first you hear him and you're like, oh my God, that's what working at this as hard as I've been working and having any type of talent to do this, that's what it fucking looks like in 7 years? Fuck me, dude.
Yeah, there's I can't remember, there was a podcast or something that, I'm sure it was a podcast that I listened to, and a lot of these big comedians were talking about how some of the most talented people that they started with, like a lot of the most talented people that they started with don't do it anymore, because it came to them so easy that they didn't put any effort into it, and then they didn't get any better.
Yeah.
So they started out really good, but then it was just so easy that they didn't put the work in, and then like they sort of just like fell off.
Yeah, who was the specific?
I don't remember. I don't know. I listened to maybe like 10 podcasts of like that comedians run, and I don't remember who it was.
There was Nick Offerman, the dude we talked about him before, Ron from Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
I try to model a lot of things off of him. Basically how he came up is he was in LA and he just didn't want to do all the shit that everyone was doing. He didn't want to sell himself. He just didn't want to do, so he just wanted to do comedy. He worked. He didn't love his job. He didn't hate it. So he just worked his job, was doing carpentry, and, had other fulfilling things in his life, and then just did a bunch of comedy. So that made him fucking even way cooler than it. And then eventually time, the time that he was living in, caught up to the type of person he was, and he was exactly what the fucking doctor ordered, and now he's Nick Offerman, dude.
Yeah, people love him now. Huh?
That's quite literally what I'm trying to do with my life, is just just hop into the river and, swim enough not to drown. I don't really need to get on the other side, I see a lot of nice things. It's really would be cool to lay down. This is getting fucking tiring, but I just started, and I'm just gonna see where this fucking thing takes me, and I'm really, really not gonna go in as hard for those ideas. It was about, and we talked about this before, the goal, what is, because you got to have a goal. For me, I have to. Some people don't, but my goal isn't I will do this many shows, or I will be at this place by this time, or I'll be signed at this. My goal is just to be funny enough, to be a funny and an indisputably funny person, and then hopefully someday I'm able to change basically our culture. If you have a say in shifting American culture somehow, that's fucking huge.
Yeah.
And that's what, if I can move the needle with humor and my thoughts and my sense, that's it, man. And if that turns into money, or that turns into fame, or that turns into anything other than that, I don't give a fuck. I hope it doesn't turn into some viral video of me getting raped by an orangutan that shifts the fucking American culture. Now I'm just the guy who's yeah, you remember the orangutan rape guy?
I mean, it would be cool to know that guy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I had him on my podcast. But no, I'm hoping. But that's the goal. That is my goals. And I said that to a friend. They're like, "Oh, well, that sounds like a fucking bullshit goal. A little fucking full of yourself." It's fuck it, because then when you have that, you don't stop. Mm-hmm. There's no
endless goal.
Yeah, you just keep going. You just keep trying to shit. There's no. Mm-hmm. It's not something that needs to be fulfilled in a shallow way. Yeah. It's just something that's
that's a very Marine mentality. I think.
Yeah.
Just grind and grind and grind, and I guess set yourself up to keep grinding.
Yeah, and I just feel honestly, I can't afford to stop, not even for a moment. A lot of it has to do probably with the PTSD and stuff, but I feel like a shark. I had a lot of wasted time before I joined the military because of jail and stuff. There was just so many times when I was sitting in a jail cell thinking the world is moving, and I just got so primed behind that. And then when I got out of that part of my life, that was when I pretty much hit the ground running, and then it got me to places I never thought I'd be. I got on a plane for the fucking first time as an adult. I was able to get in the Marine Corps. Lived in multiple countries, been all over the world. There's pretty much nothing, and I just constantly just look at it like that. I just can't afford to fucking stop. There's no, I don't want to retire and lay down like some people just want to take a day off. Father's Day, I don't want to just sit in a room and be left the fuck alone. I want to go and run around with my kid and do crazy shit, or fucking hang out with my I just always have to be doing something. And this is one of the things when people say why comedy, or they ask me, and that's pretty much the reason, is because it seems like a project that will never, it's something I can do for the rest of my life.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's something that I didn't build I didn't build the house, and now we're good.
That's a unique angle.
Yeah.
I like that you waited until almost an hour to bring up the being in jail and stuff. I'm gonna have to have you back on because that sounds like there's probably some stories there.
Yeah. There was before when I was younger and shit. I just had I grew up in a kind of a it was grew up crazy, and I just wasn't like a great kid. I wasn't like a horrible kid. I just had a period where I was, kind of a dick, and just went the wrong way. And it right around that end of high school, and then through college, I was just a reckless fucking lunatic.
Well, you're a nice man now.
You're hopefully
full of energy, wild, but you're a nice person now.
My wife actually gives me a lot of shit about that. She's like, because sometimes I'll be at home tired. And she's like, this is some bullshit. Like, you can go on stage and scream fucking 20 minutes, but now at home it's like fucking time. I'm like, I am a fucking human. Like, I would think that at my house I could let my guard down. She's like, fuck, no, you can't let your guard. It's trampoline time. This kid wants to jump.
Good. Hold your feet to the fire.
Dude, she does, man. She does. And I love her. It's awesome. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, people ask if comedy affects the family. It does affect that, probably the thing. But if you remember quality, not quantity, like there's a lot of people who spend a lot of time with their family, but they don't spend really any real time with their family.
Yeah.
So just every moment
TV
you have
with your family,
any moment you have, just take advantage of it, man.
Yeah.
With anything.
Well, let's plug some shit since we're getting close to an hour, and I think we kept you longer than I'm hoping to, right?
So I got Prankus, and they just moved it to the main room. So
oh, awesome.
Yeah, well, they're going to be super pissed at me for being late, but I'm just going to blame it on the military.
Yeah.
And you got sound. Yeah, I got to get him there too because he's got sound.
Oh man, sorry.
No, we'll be still good, right? It's 7:30. I said, right? Yeah, we're good.
Cool. All right, well, let's get some quick plugs in. Social media shows coming up. I'm gonna edit and put this out tonight since I fucked up the last one. So
cool. We'll take picture too. So my social media is TD Cunningham, and that's just straight across the board. Instagram, Facebook. I don't do Tumblr. I don't think anyone really does. But and Twitter, TD Cunningham. And then I have a YouTube channel. I haven't really put much on it, but also I'm going up in July 20. Let me see. It's July 26th, Friday, July 26th, Comedy Palace, Brick Gold Room. And I'm headlining.
Oh,
so
that's right. Yeah. I remember you
be doing a 30-minute set there.
That's your first headlining gig.
Yeah,
right? Oh, that's cool. Awesome.
Shouldn't be like headlining this young into the game is a big fucking so we'll see, man. We'll see. Yeah. I'm excited. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. TD Cunningham, thank you,
dude. Thanks for having me.
Yep. And that was TD Cunningham. Dope, right? How funny was he? An insightful, crazy man Marine comic. Wow, that's unique, and you should go check him out. Remember July 26th, Comedy Palace, his first headlining gig. I'm sure he would be super stoked if you turned out to see him that night. I'm planning on being there to watch him and support him, and you can come with me if you want to. So, hit me up. Per usual, if you enjoy the podcast, let me know on social media or on the website. There's a contact link at the top right portion of the page. And if you have any ideas or you want to be on the podcast, or you just have questions that you think would be interesting topics to talk about, go ahead and shoot them to me. Social media, Dusty K Tunnel on Instagram and Twitter, Dusty Tunnel on Facebook, and the contact link of the website. Well, I appreciate you guys listening, and I know I took a little bit of a break from there, but this last podcast I put out with Ty Shelton's already got a whole bunch of listens. It's like it's picking up right where it left off, and I hope it continues to grow. So yeah, thank you guys so much for that, and I love you. Bye.